Hey, um, so as far as I know, I am live. I hope that I really am. I've had so much trouble in the past, so this is kind of all new to me, and so trying to figure out how to get to the chat. Um, okay, that's not it. Oh, comments right there. This is an example. Okay. So if anybody shows up, maybe I'll see their comments. Okay. So I feel like we need to have a discussion about some of the things that's been going on recently. And by the big S, I mean unaliving yourself. Um, I'm not monetized, so I know I probably don't have to worry about saying the word, but let's just play with YouTube's rules. Who knows? I've watched so many people recently that I feel like we're on the verge of unaliving themselves. And I feel like there's probably a lot of us out there that have been in that place and understand what it's like and how it feels. And I just feel like somebody needs to actually say this. It's not okay. It's not okay to treat people in a way that makes them want to not live anymore. It's not okay to go into people's personal lives in such a public uh, platform. It's not okay to treat people like they don't deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Everybody deserves that. Everybody. Even the ugliest people on here deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. As much as I may not like those people, that doesn't mean that it's okay for me personally to treat them like they don't deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And I don't know any other way to put that. Everybody deserves respect. And yes, even the ones that I don't care for, the ones I don't like. And it's not my place not my place, period, to make them feel less than what they are. If people are in my room and commenting, I'm apparently not seeing it, and I'm not sure how to get there. If anybody knows how to use StreamYards and can tell me how to use it, that would be awesome. Okay, I don't want any of those things, so that's not where I want to go. I, from the time I was pretty young, I'm just going to tell a little bit of my story here. Grew up with an alcoholic mother and stepfather. My alcoholic mother couldn't stand me because I reminded her too much of my dad, who she loathed, and it got taken out on me. My mother favored my little sister, my stepdad favored my little brother, and I was the scapegoat. I was the babysitter from the time I was about 11 I was in charge of cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids and basically being a mother at 11 years old. When I got a little older, the unaliving myself thoughts started. And at night, after everybody had gone to bed, after I'd cooked dinner, we waited for them to get home drunk because they were drinking and driving. Um, After everybody ate and went to bed, I would be up cleaning up the kitchen. So many nights after everybody was in bed, I had the dishes done. I would stand there at the kitchen sink with a knife in my hand and just pray for the strength to push down and end it because I just couldn't stand it anymore. Now, there's something you need to know about me. In grade school, I was the kid they pulled out of school, out of class, I mean, to tutor other kids because I was that smart. But by the time I hit 7th grade, my grades had tanked and I barely passed high school. But I know now that was mostly because of my home life. I know now that I wasn't stupid because I have since gone to college and completed 6 years of college in 4 years, making straight A's. With the exception of one class, I made a B. So I'm not stupid, and I never have been stupid. And I think my intelligence and the fact that I love to read and I love to write and I love things like my daddy loved, my mom couldn't stand that. And so I always heard what a sorry ass he was, a sorry SLB mostly, and then turn around and not in the same breath, but it felt that way as a child, told me how much I was like it. So by the time I was 16-ish, I quit having anything to do with it because I had to live with my mom and I didn't want her hating me. You know, I was already the scapegoat. I was the one that got blamed for everything. Why would I want to add to that? Again, if anybody comes in, I can't see comments. I don't know how to get to them. This is my first time going live. So if you're commenting, I don't know how to get to them and I apologize. So when I was pregnant with my second son, I would have been 22. My dad died. I hadn't spoken to him in years. Thanks to my mom. And that really messed with me for a long time. I went from an abusive home to an abusive husband. I finally got the courage up in my late 20s to leave my abusive husband. Then I was a single mom with 2 kids. He completely walked away. He didn't have anything to do with this. He didn't help me raise them. And that unaliving myself, those thoughts were still there. My kids never knew. If they ever watch these videos, they'll know because I plan on telling a big part of it. I won't tell the things that I don't want them to know about the things their daddy did to me. They know that he was abusive to me, but that's the extent of what they know. But this is my life story and I need to tell it. Until I was, let's see, I'm 54 now. So 46 years old, I had never lived by myself. Never. I didn't know how to live by myself. Um, I don't want to live with anybody ever again, at least at this point in my life. I like my life now. I'm very happy. And no, I don't have unaliving myself thoughts anymore. There were many times, unbeknownst to my children, that they stopped me from unaliving myself. No, they would never have seen it. I made sure of that. I knew ways to do it without them seeing it. But they would come knock on the door or say something to me, and it would stop me because I knew my kids needed me. And there are times that I believe my kids are the only reason I'm still alive today. My kids were my life, and I would have never done anything to deliberately hurt them. But when a person is in the state of mind to want to take their own lives, they're not in their right mind, and they're not making decisions like a normal person would. And I just figured out how I can look and see if there's people in the chat. I love my kids with all my heart, still to this day. And now I got grandbabies to look forward to too. But I'm in a better headspace now. I'm not depressed. Still have anxiety, but it's manageable. Um, and I'm in a good place emotionally. Look, Legs for Days. I see somebody in chat. Yay! Thank you, Legs. Oh, and Panda Berry. Hi, Panda Berry. Yay, I can see chat. I'm so excited. I've been thinking that nobody was there, that I was just talking to myself and I wasn't sure. And so now I know how to see chat. I just wasn't sure that that was the right way. Panda Berry, you're part of the reason I'm doing this live. Only part, though, not 100%. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. So, after my first husband that was abusive, I met another man and I married him. And I thought he was way too kind to ever be abusive towards me. Come to find out, he was passive aggressive. Yes, it gets very heavy. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to say this now. If anybody ever needs a safe place to tell their story, we will hide your identity and you're more than welcome to tell your story on my channel. I won't put up who you are. We'll change the name so nobody knows for sure who you are. And I'm sorry that your son passed, Panda. I'm not. I'm sorry, Legs for Days. I'm very sorry. And I can understand because if something happened to one of my kids, I would feel the same way. Yes, he was worse because he was passive aggressive. So when we get into an argument, he'd wait till we were in the car and he'd try to slam on the brakes and throw me through the windshield. So yeah, and if y'all hear weird noises, I'm doing my dialysis while I'm talking to y'all. So I apologize. My thing just come on telling me I needed to take my blood pressure again. But passive aggressive, yes. Well, hey, I haven't even got to the third one. I wasn't married to the third one. The third one I just lived with, and the day I moved in with him, I figured out that he was bad for me, but I didn't know how to get out. He was a narcissist, and he's the one that nearly killed me, and he never raised a hand to me. He just didn't care. He was indifferent. Yes, it is. I can tell you one thing though. Okay, just so y'all know, I was a counselor before my kidneys quit. And I plan on trying to go back to doing social work, but maybe in a different area. Um, that last one, I was looking at every med that I took to see what med I could take that would just end it because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I knew the day I moved in with him, I made a mistake, but I didn't know how to get out. And He's the one that nearly put me in my grave. And I can't say he's 100% responsible for my kidneys quitting, but he definitely added to it uh, by just not giving a crap and letting his children treat me like they didn't give a crap. Because a strong, independent woman, that kills her soul. And I've always been a survivor. I've always been a strong woman. Once I got out from under my mother. And Legs and Panda, I could tell you that telling your story empowers you. I mean, I can tell the story now and I'm not crying at all. Um, the more people you tell your story to, maybe you can help other people too that's going through stuff. Let me just read chat real quick. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. You want to so bad because you just don't feel like you can take it anymore. I wouldn't wish it on anyone either, and I'm worried about a few people right now. Yeah, the way I don't know the whole Meghan Markle thing as bad as much as everybody else does, but I know that her dad was awful. Oh, okay. So that maybe that's another side. I don't follow the royal family, so I apologize for that, Legs. I'm thankful Panda is okay too. I am so thankful, and that's why I've told her several times to reach out if she needs somebody to talk to because I know exactly what she was going through, and my heart hurts for her, and my heart hurts for you because I know what it's like. It is, and that was why I started my story the way that I did. Was it's not okay. It's never okay, and I think people should be held accountable if somebody successfully unalives themselves because of things that people did, even if it is on social media. You know, people that have a kind heart, a caring heart, they take things to heart. Um, what I feel, whether I believe what 100% what Panda said or don't, that's not any of my business. What they did to her was awful. Yes, it was awful. And they should, people should be held accountable for things like that. And in real life, in our IRL, people can be held accountable for something like that if they did it intentionally. Um, Again, if you hear weird noises, I apologize. Like I said, I'm doing my dialysis. I've got almost 50 minutes left, so I figured that it was better now than never. It is easy to be kind, and I try really hard. I never liked that MGL. I never liked her at all. I saw her when she was on Molly's. I never went to her channel and watched ever. I would see the things that she did, and I thought she's going to end up causing somebody to unalive themselves. And I thought that many, many times. And I just watched her on other people's channels. I couldn't bring myself to go to her channel and actually watch her. Yes, they should be held accountable. It's cyber stalking. That is exactly what it is. Going into a person's real life. We come on here without our real names. Now I can tell you Candy is part of my real name, but it's not my entire real name. Um, and I don't think it would be super easy for people to find it, but I'm fixing to make it even harder. Yes, Miss MS is, and I'm surprised that she hasn't caused somebody to do something like that because of the things that she said and her borderline personality disorder is not an excuse. If she was having counseling the way she should have counseling, the counselor Any counselor worth anything would tell her that that is not the right way to act. And I worry about people that I barely know on here. But I'm that type of person because I see the signs. And I worried about you, Panda, the night that all that happened. I didn't know until Bomb told us that you were in the hospital and what you were in the hospital for. I know. I saw what she did to Tragic when Tragic's mom died too, and that was disgusting. And it's not acceptable. It's not okay. It's never okay. Yeah, it is crazy how it works, Legs. No, you don't need to apologize to anybody. You did what you felt was right, standing up for your husband. And I'd have done the same thing. So please don't feel like you need to apologize. Flakes for Days, are you born in 63? Is that why it says 1963? You were put in a place, Panda. And I'm just going to tell you this. It probably wouldn't hurt you to find a counselor if you don't already have one. Just so you have somebody on a regular basis that you can talk to. Been there, done that. I still have a counselor. And I'm not in that place anymore. I haven't been for a long time. And you're very right. Everyone has a breaking point. Um, I was born in 69. That's why I asked. But, and I still have a counselor. I keep telling her that I don't think I really need counseling anymore. I do still have some anxiety issues, but depression, nah, I'm not depressed. And I haven't been in a long time. I went through a little spell where I was having some issues, and then I found Bombshell, and she made me laugh. Oh my God. In the middle of the night, I'd be sitting there in my bed, and I had to sit in the bed because I had a broken ankle. And I'd be laughing my ass off, afraid my neighbors were going to turn me in because I lived in an enclosed apartment building for being too loud at night, laughing my ass off with Bombshell. They did. They pushed until anybody would have been to that point. And all you were trying to do was stick up for your family. You were. Woohoo, 69. Good. I'm glad to hear that you have a therapist. That makes me feel so good, Panda. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, who wouldn't? They went into your real life. And yes, maybe you gave them a little too much information, but you were doing it for a very good reason. And you don't know how many times I've wanted to defend Vaughn, but I've listened to what she's asked and I didn't. I don't follow. I went over to J one time when I was still following Amber before everything blew up. And I was like, I can't listen to this. Talking over each other all the time and just the messiness of the whole thing. I'm like, that's getting my anxiety up. And I knew I couldn't go over there. But I stayed out of all of it when everything blew up. And I just, with Amber and Flava and Snosberry and Bomb. And I stayed out of it and I watched for a few days. And I saw real quick who was stabbing each other in the back and who wasn't. And I went with Bomb. For one, Bomb makes me laugh my ass off most of the time. I didn't like how she sounded the other night, though. That worried me. And I'm just going to say that if Bombshell ever watches this, I'm sorry, but it worried me the way you sounded the other night on that last video. Yes. Well, and There's a difference between being in fighting mode, legs, in Panda, and be playing dirty in fighting mode. You want an example? I don't watch JJJ enough. I don't know, but I can tell you Michelle fights dirty, and what happened to Panda was fighting dirty. Yeah, well, they're not gonna. The only trouble I've ever been in my life was I got almost got arrested. Well, I actually got arrested for a check my first husband had written when we were together. But because my name was on the account and I went and applied to be a dispatcher, they come and arrested me, even though I wasn't the one that wrote the check, but I paid it off because my name was on the account. So if they look me up, other than a few speeding tickets, that's the only thing I've ever had in my entire life. Because my mama swore she'd never bail one of her kids out, but she knew I didn't write that check, and she come and bailed me out. Yes, I know she is in fighting mode. I was so proud when she finally started doing something legally against these crazy people, and not just sitting back and taking it anymore. And Panda, if there's any way for you to fight some of these people, I hope you can find a way to do it too. And no, in general, my channel is not going to be talking about other creators like this. But this is a subject that I think needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed publicly, not hiding behind. I mean, I didn't put my face up, but that's because I look like crap tonight. But if you go look at my shorts, I have my face in every one of them. Plus, I got needles in my arm, and I didn't figure people wanted to see that. So yeah, this is a subject that needs to be talked about, and I almost, like I said in the beginning, I almost just put the S word in there because I'm not monetized. What are they going to do? Take my video down? But it's a video that needs to reach more people. I love everybody in Bond's chat too. I understand that, Panda, and you're welcome here. But I understand. I think Bomb just feels like she's in a bad place with you right now, and she doesn't really. And I don't know this. It's not like she's told me that. This is just me reading the room, for lack of a better way of saying it. And I meant every word when I told you to reach out to me, Panda. If you needed somebody to talk to, I mean that 100%. I will be here to listen to you. Maybe I'll tell you a few more of my stories, But listening is something I'm good at. That's what made me a good counselor. Can't be your counselor because I feel like, because of the way we know each other, we're friends, and you don't counsel your friends, but you can be a friend to them. And I just feel like she feels like she was put in a bad spot because she stands against so much of that stuff, and she just didn't know how to react. You watched all my shorts. Well, thank you. I hope that they help people even a little bit. You know, 8 years ago, I ended up in a coma, and they told my kids I wasn't going to make it. And when I come out of that coma and I learned to walk again and I got my first apartment by myself, I decided it was time I fixed me. 3 long-term relationships can't all be somebody else's fault. Part of it has to be me. And I decided it was time I fixed me. Um, I agree with that, legs for days, about people would just, you know, call out the insanity, some of it would stop. Okay. I'm here if you ever need somebody to talk to. I promise I'll drop whatever I'm doing and I'll come listen. Now, I have to agree with you, but disagree, legs, about Bomb not firing up alive. Because some of the funniest lives I've ever seen is when she's dragging people because she's mad. I think this time, rather than just being mad, she was hurt, and I think that's the difference. Yeah, I try and fix people. Yeah, but I've learned how to fix myself. And I'm not, I've spent, since I was 11 years old, I've taken care of everybody in my life except for one person. And that one person was me. So 2016 was when I started turning that shit around. I was, I was in a wheelchair most of the time at that time because I was still not stable. And I was trying to sweep and mop my apartment because I live by myself. It's got to be done, right? And I was sitting in my wheelchair trying to sweep and mop my apartment. And I heard my mom in the back of my head going, my mom's deceased by then, long gone. And I heard my mom in the back of my head going, "Get your lazy ass out of that fucking chair and get up and do that shit right. You don't need to be sitting on your ass doing that, you lazy ass bitch." And yes, my mother talked to me like that, for real. And I stopped dead still and out loud in this apartment by myself, I said, "Shut the fuck up. That is the last time you talk to me like that." And other than every once in a while, I still get a little message, but nothing like that. I put a stop to it. And that's what we have to do to those people that hurt us. We hear those messages in the back of our heads that we heard from people that hurt us that were supposed to love us. And the only way we can stop them is to talk back to them, even when we're by ourselves. And I think that was a real turning point for me. That really got rid of most of my depression. Um, yes, they are just as guilty, legs. Yeah, I'd see. I wasn't sure for sure who she was talking about that night, and then she come back and she kind of, I guess, apologized. But yeah, that last night she didn't sound good. Yeah, my mom was like that. But I told you, my mom hated me because I was like my dad. I'm the only one that's not had drug or alcohol problems of her kids. I am, to my knowledge, the only one that's quit smoking, which was smoking and overeating were probably my only vices. And I've gotten rid of both of them. One time I weighed almost 500 pounds. I am I am fluctuating on the verge of 190 and 200 and say 510 because when I pull my fluid off, when I do my dialysis, I'm usually under 200, but usually when I weigh before I go on dialysis, because I pee, but I don't pee a lot. So I don't pee off my fluid. So I'm usually a little over 200. But yeah, I've come a long way. I've done that because I don't give up easy. And I see that in Bomb too. Bomb don't give up easy, or she'd have quit a long time ago. And when we've had people in our lives that have hurt us, it just makes us stronger. Yeah, they stream everything she says, and they need to get a life. I don't know how they have a following. Weight loss has been an issue for me my whole life. I had a mother that told me that I had a really pretty face, but no man would ever love me because I was overweight, and I was a size 16 then. Of course, her husband said that shit to me too. So, I jumped at the first man that showed me any affection, and that's how I ended up with my first abusive husband. But I went from an abusive childhood, not knowing anything different. So how was I supposed to find out how to choose somebody that wouldn't be abusive? You know, um, and I can tell these stories without crying now, which is a big step, a very big step. Me too, baby. I've said for a long time, they say, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Maybe I need to bench press a damn Buick. Beauty does come in all shapes and forms. And I have a boyfriend now. He's kind of perfect for me because we spend time together and then he goes home. Or we spend time together at his house and I go home. Because I don't want a man that's going to be always underfoot. I don't want to ever give up taking care of myself again. It took me too long and too much fighting to get there. Well, maybe one day you can come tell us, Legs. We'll hide your identity and you can tell your story. I actually want to eventually get a voice changer so that because I've got an idea for another channel um, that will change people's voices and allow them to freely tell their stories. I'm 6 foot tall, so 200 pounds I look pretty slim, but I have a lot of loose skin from it. But 5'6" isn't that much shorter, baby. So, yeah. And like I said, I don't ever want to give up taking care of myself again because I lose myself in relationships. So he's perfect. He goes home or I go home. 170 is about where I want to be, Panda. They say that my BMI should be about 150, but I already almost look like skin and bones. At 150, I'm going to be nothing but a skeleton with skin hanging off of it. It's not going to be pretty at all. But let me tell you about this guy I'm with. He's the first man in my life that seen me absolutely buck ass naked. Absolutely. In bright lights. And he never makes me feel bad about my body. Never. He don't tell me I'm beautiful every day either. But he never makes me feel guilty about how my body looks. And I never feel guilty about taking my clothes off around him. And that's something I've never had. Even my short round husband, you know what I mean when I say short round, right? He hit me about my boobs and he was every bit of 350 short round. Panda, good for you for losing what you've lost. And keep up whatever you're doing because it sounds like it's working. It is for me. It is the perfect relationship for me. I've never had anybody. The only thing I wish he'd do more is he'd take me out a little bit more. But he's so good at doing other things that I never think about it until it's too late. Oh, I'm so sorry, legs. But the baby's okay now? I for the longest I couldn't read chats. My eyesight was too bad, but I've gotten my eyesight back in my good eye, and I can read again. And so I missed a lot of chats for a long time, even though I was there. I would come in and say hi, but when Bomb's chat, let's face it, Bomb's chat just moves too fast. For somebody that couldn't read for 3 years, it moves too fast for me. Oh, legs. Oh my goodness. Do you still have cancer, baby? See, I've heard people talk to you, like I've heard Bomb say stuff to you in chat, but I could never read the chats. I can now, but oh my God, Bombs just move so fast, I can't keep up with it. Um, yeah. Hey, I've learned how to change all kinds of stuff in cars, like starters and alternators, and never done a timing belt, but I can tell Bomb that a timing belt can be changed without having to change a whole motor most of the time, unless it just tore up her motor. And I'm sorry that you've gone through all that, legs. Like I said, if you ever want to just talk about it, the more you talk about it, the easier it gets to talk about. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry about your son. May I ask what happened to him? I have a son that will be 33 this weekend. He's my youngest. I was pregnant with him when my dad died. Um, I know a lot of times there's a delay between what I say and what y'all hear. So I kind of paused for a minute trying to see if you answered me. I hope that's okay. Oh, time to take my blood pressure again. You're going to hear that funny sound again. And checking me. Oh no. Now, do you live close to the Cleveland Clinic, baby? My grandson has a heart issue, but so far it's not gotten worse. Oh my goodness. Did he have a heart attack or an aneurysm? What happened? That's just awful. I can't imagine if something happened to one of my boys. My son, my oldest son is 34, 30. Oh my gosh. I'm 54, so he's 33. So I lied. My youngest son will be 32 this weekend. Give me just a second. I got to put this in the deal. 130, 62. Come on. Oh, I hate these little slidey things. Just a second, ladies. Give me a second. All right. So let me come catch up with the chat. Okay. I'm sending every bit of the good energy I can right now to you, legs. That the thing on your back is just a thing on your back and it's not anything bad. Yeah. Does he see a counselor, legs? And maybe some medicine for anxiety because that sounds like he's having PTSD, maybe even the PTSD like Tragic has because he saw that. Yeah. Same thought as me, sweetheart. You're probably got some PTSD too, legs. I do still have anxiety attacks, but mine are mostly situational now, and I'm off of all of my meds for depression and anxiety, and have been for many years. So it is something that you can get past with counseling and just learning how to deal with it. I can even teach people some different techniques to help deal with it too. And that's just me sharing things that I've used. Yeah, you definitely need. Yeah, you definitely have PTSD too. And seeing something like that can be the PTSD more like what Tragic has. And for the life of me, my brain is not picking up what it is. There's another letter in there, and I can't think of what it is right now. I can give you some pointers. Maybe I'll do a couple of little shorts, or maybe I'll do some more lives, and we'll talk about different ways you can help when you're in the midst of a PTSD flare up or just an anxiety attack or a panic attack. Um, uh, and I too was diagnosed with PTSD um, when I was with my first husband. So mine was from childhood, and then from my first husband and the way he treated me. Um, and it's been up and down most of my life, but now I'm in a good place. Yes, they are. So one of my big ones that still gives me panic attacks. I'll just tell y'all this. I don't have a lot of phobias. I've had pet snakes. I've had pet iguanas. I've had pet turtles and frogs. I was the kid my mom had to be careful what she stuck her hand in my pocket and find them. I was a tomboy through and through. So I'm not afraid of too many things, but the one thing I'm terrified of is anything to do with my eyes. And when they started putting shots in my eyes, I was having panic attacks. And the doctor treated me like I was crazy for acting like it gave me panic attacks. Now I do take medical marijuana for my pain. And I can tell y'all about that another time, but the medical marijuana in small doses, helps with my anxiety. But I've also learned to use deep breathing exercises and calming music. So when I go in there, and it didn't help that I'd have to sit there for hours waiting on them to get to me. But I've learned to take my music in my headphones or my earbuds or whatever. And while I'm sitting in the room waiting on him to come in and give me the shots, I close my eyes, I listen to my calming music, and I do my deep breathing exercises. And it helps. Yes, I feel tragic pain too. And I've reached out to, when I get this ankle where I'm walking again, I'm going to start trying to help her out because we live not too far from each other. I don't have a car right now. Yes, we need to, yes, absolutely. How to treat us and how to treat one another. Yes. And I can definitely help with some of that. Your phobias of death. My one phobia is anything to do with my eyes. I can watch surgeries, I can watch anything. I love shows like CSI and stuff, but when it comes to eyeballs, I'd have to turn my head. Well, Panda, you were awful young for that too. I was in my 30s and I held my mom's hand when she died, but I did it because that's what I wanted to do. I needed to prove to myself that I was a better person than she was. But I'm so sorry that you went through that, and I'm sending you good energy too. Just now, I don't say that I'm sending prayers, but prayers and energy are the same thing. It's putting thought and time into somebody, just like with prayer. Thank you. Um, my mom was 36 when she passed. My mom was 54. I'm 54 now. If I live around 4 or 5 more months, I will have outlived both of my parents. I'm so sorry. Did they at least let you tell her goodbye over the phone or something, like? You were way too young. Um, my mom had cancer. It took them 6 months to diagnose it. And when they finally diagnosed it, I couldn't get there fast enough. And I barely left her bedside. I took care of her those last, they gave her 2 weeks. She lived a week and a half. They couldn't get me to go lay down hardly. They couldn't get me to leave her side. And we had some talks. She apologized to me for some things. We did some making up. So that was good. It was good for me. I made sure she was saved because she was the type of person that never went to church as an adult, said that the church would fall in on her if she ever stepped foot in church. But I made sure she was saved. I I don't get upset about my mom, and maybe that makes me a bad person. But she was. I prayed the whole time that she wouldn't have to lay there and suffer, and she didn't. Um, yeah. Um, I can't imagine what so many of you women have been through. And I've been through my own share of stuff, but I think, oh my gosh, it could have been so much worse. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember that during COVID. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it COVID. It's COVID. I don't know why we're not supposed to say the damn word. I got closure with my mom. I never got closure with my dad until recently. My dad's best friend has come back into my life, and he's been helping me out, taking me to some of my appointments and stuff. He's a really good guy, and he's allowed me to get closure with my dad. You used to be a nurse, cut Panda. I know a few nurses. That's awful, Legs. I want you to do something for me, and this is something that I had my people do when I was a counselor. Okay, Legs? I want you to sit down and I want you to write them both a letter. Tell them what amazing parents they were. Tell them how much you miss them. I want you to put down all your feelings about them, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fantastic, whatever. I want you to put it all in letters. And then you take those letters, and there's a couple of ways you can handle it. You can take it to their graves, and you can put it on there and let the wind take it away. You can tie them to balloons and let the wind take them away. Um, if you don't have a place that you can take them, you need closure. You need to, because I didn't have a place for my daddy. They cremated him, and I didn't know where his ashes were. I do now, thanks to his best friend David. So I never got that closure with him. But being able to tell David stories about my dad and the things I remember about him has helped me a lot. Um, there's another way you can do it. Just getting that hurt out on paper gets it out of your head. That is beautiful, Legs. That is 100% beautiful. But I can tell that that story still hurts you, that he died alone. And I can tell that that story about your mom hurts you too. Tell him how important that was to you, that he come to you and he let you see him and he touched your cheek. Tell him that in your letter. That's why I didn't last but about 6 months working in a nursing home at 18, Panda, because I watched these little people that I loved, that nobody ever come and visited half the time. I watched them all dying around me. And I knew that that wasn't the job for me. I don't think that our family ever leaves us. I didn't go back to college until after. Did I step on something? No. Um, I don't know what's going on. I didn't step on anything, so I shouldn't have a high pressure alarm. Um, um, anyway, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, so my fluid is all. Oh. How did I finish? Anyway, I bet you did freak out. Um, I bet. Maybe that is just another sign that it's time for you to get some closure, baby. Um, Maybe it bothers her that you are still hanging on to some of that. And it's time that we figure out a way for you to let it go. Sorry, I got sidetracked there because it alarmed for no reason. That was what was weird for me. But there are other things too, um, that you can do besides just writing a letter. Oh wow. Maybe your pain at losing him is too much for him to bear right now. I'm not sure. Um, I am not even going to pretend to understand the afterlife, not even a little bit. But I do know the living, and maybe there is just something that's he's not ready to come to you yet. I don't know. Yeah, that's true too, Panda. You can just talk to him. And you can just talk to your son too. Tell him how much you miss him. Um, I'm not even going to pretend like we don't hurt when we lose people that we love, even the ones that aren't the best people for us, like my mother. I loved her. I know what I was about to tell y'all. I didn't go to college until after she had passed away. That was one of the things she apologized to me for when she was on her deathbed, was that she didn't help me because I had taken a semester of college and was trying to finish a second semester when my kids were young. And I went to her and I said, can you just help me get through this semester so I don't default on my grants? And she wouldn't help me. Well, she apologized for that whenever she was dying. And that meant more to me than just about anything she could have said to me. And I know without a doubt that her and my dad were there when I walked for all three of my graduations, and that they were beaming proud of me, both of them. And I don't get the feeling that either one of them's around me now, but I'm okay with that because they were good to me in that, but I feel by supporting me and helping me get through that because I did 6 years in four and graduated with honors. Oh wow, legs. So my oldest was born the day after I turned 21. What about the kids' mom? I think I have accepted that there are certain things that we all have to endure in life. We all have a time to be born. And yes, there's a song. I don't remember the exact words to it. It's also in the Bible. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die, there's a time to laugh, there's a time to cry. And I think those things all have importance in our lives, from loving somebody that you've lost to uh, having a beautiful new baby born. And I think how we handle those things depends on how they affect us too. Oh, okay. So she's still there with you. That's good, Lance. I just wondered because you said that they were, all living with you. I just wondered where their mom was. How long ago has it been since you lost him, if I might ask? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was going to sneak out. Excuse me. I agree with that, Panda, 100%. And I'm glad that I've had y'all here, but it's just about time to come off of my dialysis, and so I think I'm going to have to end this for tonight. But if it doesn't bother y'all knowing that I'm doing dialysis while I talk on my videos, I might try doing this again. If I get people complaining though, I won't do it anymore. Oh wow. All right. If either one of y'all need to reach out to me, please do. I believe my email is on my channel. Oh, I was covering the hole. Sorry. I was holding my phone with my hand. If either one of you need to reach out to me, I believe my number is on my channel. I I'm gonna have to take my needles out of my arm and rinse my water back, and but if you need me, I'm here. Okay, I will listen. And if either one of you decide you want to talk about your story, let me know. And I plan on trying to do more of these late night lives, since most people aren't up and I'm not trying to watch somebody else's video while I do it. Y'all take care. And if anybody watches this later, thank you for watching. I love y'all and good night.